Like the basic things. You cannot see the color white without the color black. You cannot see what's good if you don't know what's bad. And you cannot live in the ideal world if you don't have...
If you haven't experienced the bad one.
Yeah, without how is it possible? How can you say whether something is good or not good if you don't have the bad stuff?
Well, I suppose only by judging ourselves by our own progress, I suppose. It's the only way to do it. And somehow making life worth living.
Yeah, but the ultimate goal of everyone being equally happy is just not possible. I think it's just against the natural order of things.
No doubt. I mean, why would people be equally happy? That, people are not born into equal circumstances, not born with equal talent or intelligence.
Yep.
Why would you be equally happy? And then just to say, I'm going to make you equally happy because I've just signed this law which says you need to be equally happy, or you're going to be dragged into the street and shot. That's that brings us on to dystopia, actually. Mr. Hedgehog, what do you think about dystopia? How is it distinct from utopia? What does it mean?
To be honest, I didn't have any ideas about that, and the only thing I can bring up to you it's the Natasha's thoughts about it, that dystopia is kind of just the worst possible case, the worst case of scenario. Then everything went wrong, and everything goes to hell. Basically, that's like, God help me, not Voinovka, but something like MMS maybe. Yes.
And then someone goes, I live in MMS, and you're like, have a break.
Okay, so have you not heard the term dystopia before?
No, never.
Okay, Fania, I think that you know about dystopia, right? Can you confirm whether Anton's got it right?
Actually, I thought that this is the synonym to anti-utopia.
Yeah.
So yes, this is the world where everything goes wrong, where there is no happiness and so on. So people cannot actually live normal in that place. For example, future in the Terminator.
Not quite. That's an interesting distinction, actually. Future in the Terminator or like the Matrix or something like that. That's not a dystopia technically. That's an apocalypse film. That's different. That's the collapse of civilization. So it's a very subtle word, this dystopia. So the best way to understand it is to look at the books that have been written in this genre. So dystopia as a literary genre started with, so let's think about some famous dystopian, but I mean, Anton, we were discussing one the other day, weren't we? A famous book by George Orwell.
Yeah, 1984.
1984, Animal Farm, although that's not really a dystopia. No.
It's also dystopia.
Similar.
Yes.
Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
I don't know, maybe...
I always forget the name in Russian. Norway. I can't remember the name. Dziwny Nowy Mir.
Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, have you ever read Brothers Strugatsky in Russian?
I haven't. I've read snippets, but I've never read, a whole book. But yeah, I've been recommended quite a lot. Snail on the Float.
They read lots about maybe topical world, for example. So some of their maybe books it's about utopical world and some about dystopical.
Dystopian.
Utopian.
Topos, topian, topical.
Yeah. It's really interesting because
that's another good example actually about the Strugatsky guys. Zamyatin as well. He was the original gangster when it came to the dystopian novel. Muy, absolute masterpiece of the modernist genre. One of the finest works of early Soviet literature. I greatly enjoyed it.
Who?
So, Evgeny Zamyatin.
The book. Zamyatin?
Mm-hmm. And the book is We.
The book is
the book is we are the book. So the best way to understand this word dystopia is looking at literature like that. It's not an apocalyptic world. It's a satire of utopia.
But when you give an example from Matrix, people actually lived. They had life. They're alive. Yes, they haven't got their special lives, so they cannot walk. They cannot do anything. But they are alive, and they are. I don't know.
And so on.
They are существуют.
They exist.
Yeah.
That's a fair interpretation. Perhaps you can see the utopia that the machines have created. That's a dystopia when you look at it from the perspective of reality. Yeah, sure. Yeah, checkmate. Yeah, very good. So hopefully that's a bit clearer. There's a difference between just a horror genre like a post-apocalyptic Terminator world, or the world of Oceana in 1984, or the nameless state in Zamyatin's We. So it's a society where everyone acts as if everything's great, and everything seems as if it's really great. But then when you look at the details and you listen to individual stories, you start to see the cracks in the narrative, and you start to realize, hang on, there's something seriously wrong.
I think that's what Dasha meant. Well, that's what you meant when you said that you don't entirely trust the idea of utopia, because, like, even if everything seems perfect, it kind of like
it feels negative.
So that's
for me, this word, it's like
actually
negative.
Actually,
I want one second, Frank. Sorry, say again, Dasha. I didn't hear.
I said that for me, the meaning of this word associated with something negative.
Yeah,
utopia,
absolutely.
I mean.
Oh, okay.
Because ideal is the enemy of good.
Interesting. Sorry, Vanya, what were you going to say?
I want to ask, what do you think? Is the film, I don't know, Truman's Show is Utopia for Jim Carrey?
Ah, interesting. The Truman Show. So that's, I suppose it's like a utopia for one, isn't it? That's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you could certainly argue that it's a dystopia, because it's about someone trying to live their life in their own way and create their own story, but always Ed Harris is controlling you from the sky, which is never good. So this brings me back to the original question: what's the difference between a utopia and a dystopia?
What I wanted to say, it's maybe it's a perspective, like from like a general view, what it looks like on the larger scale, and what it looks like when it's narrowed down to every single person or just to individual people.
We're getting back to group versus individual identity again, aren't we? So, yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, utopia and dystopia, in terms of literature, there's certainly a difference. There's not really any such thing as utopian literature. Well, I suppose there is if you look at if you ever read any socialist realist literature, that's pretty hard slog. But in terms of societies which call themselves utopias and societies which call themselves dystopias, I don't see a speck of difference. I think they're exactly the same thing.
I believe it's like two stages. Like, for example, they had a good idea, seemingly good idea, and as it was in that amazing animated movie Animatrix. Everything was fine at first, but then something went wrong and boom, a big bang happened and it turned into dystopia. Dystopia is an inevitable result of any try to build a perfect ideal world.
Or maybe also, as you said, like you said, that it's possible for everyone to be equally happy. Maybe if there is still inequality in some future utopian/dystopian world, that would mean that for someone it's a utopia, it's a perfect world, and for someone it will be just the exact opposite.
That's a very there's a huge disagreement between people who say, for example, some people argue for equality of opportunity, and some people argue for equality of outcome. That's to say equity. So someone who says equality of opportunity is pretty much how we already treat people in the West. I'm including Russia in the West. Is in most open, sophisticated societies, doesn't matter who you are, as long as you apply yourself, you can have the opportunity to do almost anything you want. But then people who support opportunity of outcomes say, no, that's not good enough. You have to have, people on company boards need to be representative, or by race or by gender or by orientation, whatever it might be. Despite the fact that not everyone is born with the same cognitive faculties or abilities. So for one person, a society where everyone is 50-50 would be ideal. For someone else, probably myself included, I'd say that sounds like a tyranny and not a utopia, not by a long shot. All right, this seems like a good place for a coffee break. When we